Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name's Mike Williams. I'm joined by Jake Kulkowski.
Hello.
Hi, Jake.
All right, mate. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, not bad.
Who else have we got?
Daniel White.
Hello.
Dan, how's it going, Dan?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Special guest on the podcast.
Yeah, otherwise known as Dansky off of YouTube.
Yeah. You might see him in our comment section sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
You might even be sub to him. Don't play games on YouTube. You make illustrator tutorials to help people get better at life, get better at freelancing, get better to educate themselves, innit? You make some nice tutorials.
Yeah, they are very nice. They're very therapeutic, I would say, actually. Even if you have no interest in graphic design or design whatsoever, watch them because they're good.
They're
And
educational.
he's sitting right there. Dan, who are you?
So, as Mike said, my name's Daniel White, aka Dansky. I'm a designer. I've been in the industry for about 12 years, and 3.5 years ago started YouTube, making all manner of videos, and just ended up doing tutorials, and just basically just love to teach.
Yeah.
I love to teach. Huge fan of PGG, by the way, so it's great to be here.
Of course,
That's
the only
very
reason we
nice
let
of
him
you
I'm
on.
to
going to be like fanboy again.
Yeah, that's the only reason we let him on. I've actually been subscribed to Dansky for 6 months. That's a true story.
All right.
It's a true little story. So it's mutual, is what I'm saying. At
It's
least
very
for
cool.
me.
It's cool. No, this is a cool setup. But crucially, if you watch PGG, that must mean that you're very interested in video games, which is why you're on a gaming podcast, right?
For sure, yeah.
What have you been playing recently?
Recently, I've been playing Vermintide 2.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Vermintide 2, amazing game. And I've actually picked up Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Nice.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
2015, I know. I put it off and just finished Uncharted 4 a while ago and thought, I need something that is just story driven, totally over the top.
Yeah. Preferably Tomb Raiding based.
Climbing, jumping, running,
yeah, shooting,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so you're a big gamer, so that you should,
You
should
passed
fit in
the
fine.
test. We're going to let
Yeah.
him do the podcast now?
Yeah, okay, let's continue. So this is the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast in which we go through your questions, our patrons' questions. Anyone who's a patron can ask away every single week. They'll just reply to this podcast on our Patreon page, and they can ask whatever they want, gaming related, obviously, and we'll go through and answer as many as we can every single week. But as I always say, if you didn't get in this week, don't worry, just ask it again next week, and maybe we'll take a look at it then, because there's a lot of people asking questions these days, which is cool, which is very good, and we're very lucky to have such a community that can help
What's the
us
first
make
question?
a podcast. It's good though. Imagine they were rubbish.
It is.
Yeah?
You're doing that thing where you're making it suspicious again.
My
Mike
name
Williams.
is Mike Williams. I am the
If
real
that
Mike
is your
Williams.
real name.
But imagine they were rubbish at asking questions. This could easily be a bad
good.
podcast. You know what
We've
I'm
got a
saying?
lot of good regulars that I'm sure we'll see today.
There you go.
The Oban Emmetalas of the world, the Matthew John Jenkins of the world.
And the
House
House
of
of Frogs,
Yeah.
who's got the first question this week. How much of remasters do you expect in games these days? Or what do you expect from a remaster in games these days? What are your expectations for Dark Souls Remastered? So remasters are a big thing now. They're a big part of the business, aren't they? Crucial to someone like Sony, who've been just batting them out like really high quality remakes, and it's been a big part of their business model, I guess, as far as actually producing games goes. They've come out with a few. So Dark Souls is the next big remaster that's coming out. It's essentially a remake, isn't it?
It's being made inside the Dark Souls 3 engine, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much work's put into
Did
that.
you just say it's being made with the Dark Souls 3 engine? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. And
OMG.
so I don't know. I don't know how simple a process that is. Do they just port it over, or do they have to rewrite code for it?
Yeah.
I don't know what they have to do. But yeah, it's the Dark Souls 3 engine.
That's a good question.
Wow.
Yeah.
The original favourite game of all time.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you know
all
what?
time.
That is interesting.
Let me tell you about Bloodborne.
That's there as well.
Here we
But
go.
the Dark Souls, the first one, it just, the first time you ever play a Souls game, you
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
The punishment,
Yeah.
the pain, the controller getting thrown across the room.
That's it, man. Yeah.
And then
And then
picking it all back up.
Yeah,
I had a
and then you
tiger
get
on
it.
in your head, and then you do it, don't you?
Yeah, you do it and you
Well,
get it.
well, Dark Souls. I've been saying this for weeks now, and it's just been growing and growing. The more I think about it, the more I think it's the most important game of this.
No,
of the
yeah, I
2000s,
totally agree with that.
because it's like its own genre. It's genre defined. It's basically, instead of the word hard, people just say Dark Souls from now on.
Souls-like.
It's Souls-like
Soulsborne.
is the thing. It's the most sought after thing. Is this a bit like Dark Souls? Every time anything is remotely, they love it. It's so, it's got loads of lore to it, but that's sort of kind of being hidden away behind quite excruciating at times gameplay, but it feels fair and all this. Dark Souls 1, a lot of people who have got onto the later games like the second and third one and of course Bloodborne might not go back to the first one because it's quite clunky in comparison, right? If you weren't there at the time, it's quite clunky. The remaster is an opportunity for people to get back into it. And shouts out everybody who's halfway through typing the Demon Souls comment. I sees you. But let's talk about Dark Souls, right? The first of the Dark Souls trilogy.
Well, that was the question, right?
I was expecting something at least Dark Souls 3, but to find out that it is going to be in the Dark Souls 3 engine is good. There's something I see that Dark Souls community have been asking for, and I don't know what you think of this. Since it's your favourite game ever, I guess you're the perfect person to ask. When you're playing a Dark Souls game for the first time, a lot of it is that, oh shit, this guy's just overpowered me. Oh, I found that item. There's quite a lot of people petitioning for kind of a little bit of a rejig of where item and enemy placement is. So you can't get the Drake Sword straight away anymore, or you know the rings are in different places or enemies are in different places. Would you like to see just an absolute copy and paste remaster like what's expected by a lot of people, or would you like to see a little bit of a change, just to give people a bit of a oh shit moment when they turn a corner and there's a fucking extra metal ball there or something? Do you know what I mean?
I think with Dark Souls, it is like there's a lot of people that won't like it, and then you have those people that just love it. They get it. They love the punishment and everything.
Yeah.
For me, it would have to be definitely mix it up, because that's what that game does. It tries to screw you over. You know, the time you open a door to nothing and you just fall down. Yeah. But for them to be able to mix it up, for the returning players, they get to experience something new.
Yeah.
And for people that are new, they get to experience something new anyway.
I imagine at the very least it'll be very playful in very small Easter eggish type ways.
Yeah.
Like there'll be some very minor surprises at the very minimum, I would say. I would be pretty disappointed, if anything, that if they made a completely faithful remake that didn't have at least one little joke or little thing that just subversive, like flipping things on its head, because like you said, it's a big game and a lot of people will be going back to it, but a lot of people will be introduced to it for the first time. So you want a feeling of freshness for both those kind of groups, right?
Because I think a lot of people want to play it how they remember it, but a lot of people want to experience it for the first time again. And they can get that if things get moved around. There's lots of quality of life changes that I think are expected of remasters in general these days. And what I mean is this, and if you're a Dark Souls fan, you'll know exactly what I'm on about, right? Dark Souls 1, you know, like getting Bloodborne, you get your blood echoes, and you get, what are they, the ones you use them, you gain blood echoes from them. You know what I'm on about?
Like the items that you can pick up. Like
consumables, and they give you 5,000 blood echoes, or you get your souls.
They're called different things, aren't they?
But in Dark Souls 1, you can only use them one at a time.
Yeah.
So if you've gathered 20 throughout the game, you have to go through.
Yeah, you do, and the animation plays out.
Yeah, exactly. But so in Dark Souls 3, you could use multiple at the same time or whatever. So the little quality of life things like that, being able to use more souls at once rather than having to go for each one, I think it's kind of expected a little bit now. Yeah. The frame rate not absolutely crashing when you get to Blighttown.
Performance, performance for sure, right? Performance
Yeah.
changes like that, definitely. They've got. I mean, that's got to be the priority.
If they kept the Blighttown frame rate drops in, that would be quite funny, to be fair. But I think a lot of people expect that and don't realise that's what they're wanting. They want these little tiny little quality of life changes. If it was just a pure graphical remaster, this is any game, our Six Sense any game. A lot of the time, people don't find it good enough, and people, I think they're expecting a little bit of polish.
Yeah, well,
that's from what I've noticed.
We look at Burnout Paradise, which we covered on the channel recently, and that is a remaster. And despite the fact that Digital Foundry assured me that it was a remarkable revamp of the game, I strongly disagreed. And they showed the side by side, and it was like it's a bit sharper as a muggle, I guess. And I'm into, I'll sit there like calibrating my TV and whatever when I buy it new and stuff. And I've got a PlayStation 4 Pro because I wanted it to run slightly better and I wanted the higher resolution. But even I was like looking at that game going, it's essentially the same thing. And that's because it is a remaster rather than a remake, which is what something like Ratchet and Clank or Wipeout or something like that. Shadow of the Colossus in a huge way. It's
that's the bar, isn't it, at the moment? I think
definitely. They are different games almost because they're like they're like modern day tributes to what that game was, because it's this different thing because it runs better. Yeah. It looks so much better and stuff, and there's different things going on under the hood. So. Yeah, I think remasters and remakes are an interesting discussion because, again, they're such a big part of part of the industry these days, but they can go wrong and they can be underwhelming. Assassin's Creed Rogue, that's just come out, and that was a remaster.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is no one played it. Do you remember Assassin's Creed Rogue?
I never played it. No.
It came out the same time as Unity, and it was another pirate game following Black Flag, but it only came on last gen consoles. It only came on 360 and the PlayStation 3 or whatever. So no one remembers it really. Yeah. So this is a new chance for them to play it, but it's from all what I can gather it's a remaster rather than a remake of the game completely. So it can go both ways, and I think the price is really important. The fact that Dark Souls is what, 27?
Well, in pounds anyway, £27, which I guess is about $30, $35 compared to a $60 / 40 to 50 quid.
Makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah, it was actually just before we went into this podcast, I happened to see it and I was like, oh my god, definitely getting that. It seems to be the standard price. Skyrim, when he did the Skyrim remaster, 27. Crash Insane Trilogy, 27. Shadow of the Colossus, about that price. Burnout, which I feel did the least amount of work out of all of the ones I've played, was the highest price, 30 quid.
Really?
That's true. Yeah.
So it's EA, so it's kind of what you expect, kind of, But these days that's what I think a lot of people are expecting. Yeah. A little bit of quality of life changes, but a lot of the time everything is kept intact. But
that's it. Go. So thank you very much, House of Frogs, for that question. Chimpo asks the next one. What is the best first-person shooter of all time, not including Battlefield Bad Company 2? Because that is so superior that it's unfair to the others. Is that?
Yeah. Or does he not want people to? I don't know.
Just not choose that one because it's just fuck that game. Like, it's probably one of my. Actually, Bad Company 2 probably is my most played. Probably the one I've put the most multiplayer hours into by far. Put hundreds and hundreds of hours into it.
Only you could say it.
Damn
it, Chimpo.
Just holding me back. Yeah. Just let me be who I want to be, Chimpo.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm not sure.
It's a tough question. The best first-person shooter of all time, Dan. I'm going to throw that to you. What's your favorite?
I mean, I never played Bad Company 2. Battlefield 3 was my first.
Kind
of crack at those games. Yeah. Best first-person ever.
It's a big question. There's so many. You can easily annoy the fans of Half-Life, Half-Life 2. You can easily annoy the fans of Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm going to say Modern Warfare. I agree. Well, it's the one I spent the most hours on, so it must have been doing something right.
Yeah.
I think it's more of the culture around it as well. Getting in the Xbox party chat with your mates, just giving it on the voice chat, slagging each other off. There's this whole community about it.
That's what life in Hollywood's about.
Like, man. It was really, really good. I used to piss off my parents. My dad used to come in, trying to go to sleep. You just speak to Americans. Fuck off, Dad. Being an angsty teen never felt so good, baby. Yeah. Modern Warfare, COD 4.
It's the teen's paradise, isn't it? It's the angsty teenage boy's paradise. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I played it a lot, and I would agree that it's up there. I would say Modern Warfare rather than any of the others. Because I don't know, that was just my game, the one I spent, and that's the one that felt like the biggest revolution and whatever. I really liked it, but Battlefield Bad Company 2 is above that for me. Homefront the Revolution, innit? No.
No, go on, let's hear the case.
No, there is no case. It's just a shit first-person shooter. I really hope someone defends it now, though, because if you like Homefront the Revolution, please explain to me why. I mean, I'd love to. I want to hear the case for Homefront
really
Revolution.
Dan's answer.
This is really awkward.
Homefront Revolution.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a tough question. There's so many great shooters, though, right? Halo, the original Halo, is probably a big one for a lot of people. Halo 2 as well, because of the multiplayer and stuff. That was a big change in gaming generally. Halo 2, single-handedly almost console multiplayer shooting.
Play GoldenEye. Did you play it on the N64?
I did. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it was good. It was
good. No.
Yeah.
This is a big reveal.
Get shredded in the comments.
No, please continue.
I'm going
into my trap.
I'm going to be really boring now, and I agree with what you said. Modern Warfare, the original one, and also like the second one.
Second one's great as well. Stand-up game, yeah.
It's just the story as well. Like, I know, like, for me, Call of Duty has got a little bit samey over time, but it was just this, like, you were interested in the characters. You had Price, you had Soap, you kind of went through like so much shit with these characters.
Yeah, they're memes now, but at the time, everyone knows them. 10,000
Yeah.
movies in the or whatever. That one where you have to protect them on the Ferris wheel, trying to do it on veteran.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Chernobyl.
That's
the
it. Yeah.
Chernobyl, right,
And then you add. Oh, well, I'm glad you like the story because I've got bad news for you if you've not heard this. They're bringing Modern Warfare 2 out, aren't they? Remastered, but only the campaign.
Yeah.
They're not doing the multiplayer.
What a decision that is.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
It's baffling, isn't it?
I don't know.
Is that confirmed yet, or is that just like reports? I don't know if it's.
I think it's reports. It's the same people that said it was happening.
Yeah, so it's not set in stone, but it's looking.
That would be a
that's what's
very
gonna happen.
silly decision. A Call of Duty game without the multiplayer seems unusual.
In the second one,
Just take out the guns. Do you know what I mean? You might as well.
one thing I love about the campaign is that I think the music was largely composed by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
You know, guy who did The Lion King and
Yeah.
Inception.
Everything ever.
Basically
really.
the best.
Basically.
It's
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
Like it just the music just kind of
Yeah.
gets you into the game.
I really do think the second one ramped up everything about the first one. Like, you know, the multiplayer as well, kill streaks were customizable, so you didn't just have your UAV and what was the fifth one? Predator missile and helicopter, was it?
I don't know. I never got it.
yeah,
Mate.
no, it was.
It was, and then but you could change that up so you could have AC-130s and nukes and stuff like that. They really customized it, I thought.
Dual wielding,
Yeah,
shields.
yeah. There was a lot of customization in the second one, so
I think that's where it lost me. I think it was when I was giving me options like that. I was like, I don't know. I just want to fucking just nuke him. Yeah.
Front of Revolution.
So there you go. I actually am going to say Battlefield Bad Company 2, Chimpo. I mean, I'm hosting this
You're not the boss
podcast.
of
What are
it.
you going to do?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chimpo. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Asker Peterson asks, how's it going, Asker? Played some Vermintide with him on a stream, right?
Yeah, yeah. I also did not on stream, but we play every game with him on stream.
Yeah. He's
He's leader of the Ascarian Empire.
Exactly,
If you're on the
yeah.
stream, you know Asker. He's like
Hail
the fourth
Asker.
member.
Asks, do you think Steam will ever get quality control on the store? And if so, how would they even manage to do it at this point?
There's too much in it. Too much.
It's too many games.
They're gonna have to just cull. And it's just like, I don't think that they can do it.
Just Gabe Newell. Today we announced the cleansing. The store will be wiped clean.
80% of games will be removed. I just don't know if it can happen. I think it's too far gone now. I think you're going to have to rely on third-party curators.
Definitely.
They need to hire a UX designer if they haven't got one already. Just get someone to just redo it.
It doesn't look very nice. And it's just...
It's just full of crap, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like, I want to find good games, and you just get all this rubbish. And
there's not like any... I mean, they tried like the Steam Select tool. What was it called? When you could like Total Biscuit and that would give away
Oh, the curators, yeah.
recommendations.
The curators.
Steam curators. But at the moment, you don't go to Steam to window shop. You go there already knowing what you want to buy,
Definitely,
don't you?
yeah.
You rely on.
I think you would have
websites
I think you would have window shopped a few years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
You definitely
That's what
would
I'm
have.
saying. Like,
You
you
definitely
can
would
go on like GOG or even a humble store, right, and just not know. You've got £20. You don't know what you want to spend it on. You can go to those websites and you can have a look, and then you can make a decision. On Steam, if you've got like a tenner, you just go and it'll be like Super Robot Dinosaur Minecraft clone
Yeah,
thingies and,
Wars, Royale.
Yeah, everything's Royale, and it's like, my, you can't go there and find stuff without struggling, and they really need to clean up. It's too far gone. I really think it's too far gone.
I wish they would make it more window shopping friendly, because I play a lot of games with my brother. I just want to browse through decent co-op games, because sometimes you miss a game. Like, I never played The Witcher 2 until years after it came out, and was like,
Same.
holy shit, how did I miss this?
Same, yeah.
£3.50 or whatever.
Yeah,
on sale.
exactly. I'm
Like,
exactly the same as you there.
I
Yeah.
almost felt wrong buying it for that
Yeah,
price,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you miss those gems. So I just want to be able a way to kind of go, okay, let's just scan all the co-op games, see if I can find something. But it just makes it so, that's the thing, it makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
I want to shop with you.
You're totally right. It's their problem is their philosophy is we don't want to be the arbiters of what's good and bad. Why not? It's your shop.
Yeah,
You've
do
built
what
this.
you
Yeah,
want.
exactly.
They've set the shop up and they've just kind of walked off and gone,
They've got so much
Set up
power.
here and sell your stuff.
It's like Superman. They've got so much power, but they're just going. I'm not going to do it. I might demolish some buildings by accident. It doesn't matter. You've got the power. Use it. They're too powerful, and I think they genuinely are afraid of it because it's a big responsibility. So they're just completely going hands off with the because if they don't try, then they can't mess up. They're just messing up by not doing it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd rather take that. It seems it's a huge problem. I don't know how. Yeah, it's third party stuff in it. That's the only solution for now.
You have to go. You'll have to Google go to co-op games and read an article, or
that's what I do,
or sometimes even go on other websites that sell games, and then go to Steam just to see if you can find it cheaper on there. Do you know what I mean? Like, go on GOG, look for games.
Humble or Fanatical or something.
Yeah, anything like that. And so you can't do it inside. And that's so unusual. You know, you wouldn't get that in any other sort of, I don't know, Asda or whatever. You want to buy orange juice or whatever. You wouldn't be like, I'm drowning in options.
One thing.
I mean, it's not Imagine if the world was like Steam. Imagine if everything else was like Steam. Think about how ridiculous it would be. There we go. Stop it, Valve. Just make an effort. You're asleep at the wheel. You're disappointing everyone.
7,000 varieties of baked beans.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question, and it's a difficult one to answer, I think. But it's just that kind of topic that comes up over and over again as well in our videos and stuff. It's just part of the conversation these days.
For sure.
But yeah, cheers, Oscar. Obine Matalo asks, has any game ever made you love or really take an interest in the country or the time period of that game? For example, I really like the Italian Renaissance because of Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, and feudal Japan because of Dynasty Warriors 2, 3, and 4. I think this happens all the time for me. I feudal Japan definitely, but because of Shogun Total War and Shogun Total War 2, or Shogun 2, whatever it's called. I definitely like feudal Japan for that reason, and because when you play a game like that, everything about it, the animations and the art style and the characters and the ideas in the game and the way the characters talk and the things that they say and the vocabulary in the game, you're just immersed in that world. And if you're into it, you'll end up spending loads of time playing the game, and then it just makes you feel like when you're not playing it, you want to be watching documentaries about that time period and reading about it or whatever. I definitely know what he's talking about here.
We're all there with you, man.
What about any games in particular that have spurred you into interest or anything like medieval times and stuff? You're big into.
I remember wanting to go to Alaska from a very young age. Still do, right?
After playing the thing.
I think it was Metal Gear Solid 1
right,
at the end when he escaped from Shadow Moses, and there's that bit because I didn't have the fucking time to save Meryl, like I just gave up on the torture. So me and Otacon escape, and then
I just knocked the torture on the head, to be honest with you.
And so Meryl's gone. You and Otacon have got away, and then you're looking at the elk and all this, and I remember going, "That's beautiful," and thinking, that looks really, really good. And it just happened to be like a day after or whatever. There was some David Attenborough thing on it about Alaska. And because it was fresh in my mind from Metal Gear Solid, I thought, damn. And that was like when games were like, Snake's face in Metal Gear Solid 1 is literally like Microsoft Paint.
It's just, it's quite a detailed blur.
So even when, exactly. So even when the games like that, I still wanted to go and visit. But nowadays, all sorts of, obviously I like fictional worlds the most in video games, and that's why I kind of love video games, because I get to experience something I would never in the real world, right? Like in the world of Ni no Kuni that I've been playing. At least it's ace, but nothing like that. But yeah, anything, books, films, games. I'm always like looking at things and going, I want to go there. Especially Japan. I think when I'm playing games,
it's something about Japan, isn't it? It's the culture and stuff. It's just so different that you feel and because it's a real place and a real culture and with real history and things. There's so much to mine, like if you're interested in it. What about you, Dan?
I think the whole Assassin's Creed franchise, it can rub people the wrong way for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
But one thing that they do, I think, incredibly well is build worlds.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Assassin's Creed 2. I mean, it was just like even the story in that one as well with Ezio and everything. I felt like I had just literally gone back in time, and just playing some of the other games. Yeah, they just do an amazing job at recreating
for sure.
all these little tiny details.
Yeah, is it Assassin's Creed 3 where like the beginning mission's like in an opera house?
Yeah.
Even that bit's good, which actually just reminded me of another game that does a lot of that. It's the Hitman games where you go to all these different missions and you always feel like that's very well done. But Assassin's Creed, especially the new one, and they've got like history tour mode thing for kids.
I've heard of that, yeah.
And that's because,
it's not strictly for kids. It's just.
It's for educational purposes for schools. Sorry, for schools. I guess that's where I got it wrong. But yeah,
I have to say I haven't actually done it or anything. I wasn't being defensive. Well, I've done it, and
it's not for kids.
It's not for kids.
It's for everyone. No, but they've got it for educational purposes and stuff like that, where like you can see mummification process and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all inside Origins. Obviously, they took out the stabbing and that, but it's because their world, it's such a strong point that they can just kick the wall.
I think one thing they've obviously woken up to with Origins and all of their games, Ubisoft at the moment, is that they build these worlds and they spend loads of money and resources making them, and then next year everyone's forgot all about it. They're worrying about, with Unity, everyone had forgotten about Unity because Syndicate was coming out and they were focused on London, but they've recreated Paris in the Revolution, in the French Revolution, and it's what about that? Why don't we just stick with that for a little bit and explore that? So they've clearly just woken up to that because Assassin's Creed Origins is getting this longer 2-year cycle. They've added that historical tourism mode. That's what Assassin's Creed games are, isn't it? It's historical tourism. For me, that's always been the biggest. Stabbing. With lots of stabbing. But there weren't any guns back then, were there? So you can't have shooting. Just knives will do for now. But they just, that's what the main thing is. That's what's drawing me to the game anyway. Is the idea of being a pirate in the Caribbean, or of being,
flag.
It's the best, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Getting in a pirate ship and letting off the cannons.
There's one of the most, genuinely up there in like top 10 like most magical gaming moments for me is always going to be diving off the ship for the first time, swimming to an island, digging up some treasure, swimming back to the ship and climbing on while the crew go, "Hey, the captain's back," and
in real life going, "Thank you."
Just taking a quick bow, you know what I mean? But that was just such a great moment. No loading screens. Yeah, he's a Welsh character, which is an awesome bonus, because there's not many Welsh characters in games. But it's just a great moment, that, and that is because it makes you feel like a pirate in that kind of in that minute. So
top marks to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Black Flag. Yeah, I think, but it happens with those games in space as well. It always makes me want to read, science literature and stuff, and watch space documentaries and listen to science podcasts and whatever whenever I'm thinking about Mass Effect or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just because it's as close as you can get. But I think that's what gaming's about, immersion, isn't it?
Another one that I thought was really good was Battlefield 1. I did pick that up at launch, but when I started playing the campaign, I don't know. Obviously, I've never been in a war, but it was just like, when your character keeps getting taken out and then you're someone else and you just can't survive. That
opening, work of genius. That it's very simple idea.
And then you push through the battlefield and then you let off the pigeon and I was just like, holy shit!
It's very. Stand out for me on that is it the Italian hillside?
Oh my god,
the way the formation of the rocks and the grass and everything like that is so immersive, really well designed.
It's spot on. But they do some marks for that, and I like the vignette thing that they did as well, where every mission is just like an hour long or 40 minutes long, and it's a different scenario. I like that. Some people don't, a lot of people don't, but I think it works.
Lots of little short stories.
How else do you do the story? How else do you tell the story of World War One? It's difficult. Gaming is awesome. Thanks for that question, Albino Metallic. October Comstock next. What were your parents like with your video game habits growing up? And do you have any great stories of how your parents would try to get you to stop playing or go outside? My dad is the reason I play video games. So she's talked there about how she was influenced by her dad to actually get into it. But I mean, what were your parents like with gaming?
Yeah. All right.
Tell me about your childhood.
Yeah. All right.
Let me just lean back in my leather chair.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah, my mum and dad have always been well into video games. It's been a bit of a weird one because I had an NES and an SNES, and they would help me through Super Mario World and stuff. And then by the time I got to the PS1 days, I was helping them. I remember my mum and dad had this mate called Bruce, and he was stuck on Tomb Raider 2, and he'd phone up late at night to ask me, how do you get past this one part? Just little stupid, grown up things, like he didn't know how to run and jump at the same time. Fucking noob. But I always remember.
Sorry, is that what you were saying when you were 6 years old?
Don't
waste my time with these queries.
I'll run down some just quick standout memories. Right, we had this the PS1 demo discs back in the day. Used to have those games, but it always used to have these indie games in it, and I think they were called Net Eurosy games or something like that. And they were full games made on the PlayStation 1 dev kit. And there was this proper weird game called Pushy 2. It was just dead simple, like a phone game now. But there's about 700 levels. It must have been procedural generation or something like that.
Yes, those kind of numbers,
loads and loads of levels. And I remember it just absolutely took over our family for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Sorry, Pushy 2.
Pushy 2.
I thought I'd tell you because it's a weird story.
That's about right. Yeah. I can't top that. Why didn't we do that one last?
It's a sequel to the award-winning Pushy 1. It wasn't even a Pushy 1. So there's that. My mum still plays games now. Like, she's not that good at them. She's always like, oh, how do I get the fucking dog key on Resident Evil? And she rage quit Bloodborne at Declare It Beast.
Oh no!
But she really did. She's into horror and stuff, but Bloodborne's a bit.
It's a different.
She's an old woman now, man. She's, you know what I mean? She's not the same reflexes and that, probably. But yeah, she's big into a survival horror, I guess. Like Silent Hill, she loved playing them as well. And yeah, I think Tekken 3. Me and my dad used to play Tekken 3.
Nice.
Me and my dad don't
Very
have much in common, see, apart from Tekken 3. So he still brings it up now. I'm 26, man. It's been 20 years
your job
since it
is
came
video
out.
games.
Yeah, no, it's still a lot.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
Pushy 2?
Did you miss that one? Don't worry, mate. I did.
Can't say I've ever played that. No, I mean for me, first console was the NES. You know, where the game stopped working and you got to go.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
That's why everyone from the early 90s is pretty good at the harmonica.
Yeah, classic.
I don't think I ever completed an NES game ever. Like PS1.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they were hard.
Yeah.
Like Mario, like I never completed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've never thought of it. Mine was the SNES, right? So there's the next one after that, and it's like I'm exactly the same. And I've said this already on the podcast, but Super Star Wars, side-scrolling Star Wars game on the SNES, that came on the PlayStation 4. Like on the store as a classic thing or whatever, and I bought it for like £3, played it. It's impossible. You cannot get past the first level. As a child, as a small boy, I got to level 4. I don't know how I did that.
Patience.
And it's
you just got more patience as a kid.
but and they didn't have save systems, and if you switched it off, then you're right back to the beginning. And a lot of the games were like that. And yeah, I'm probably right with you there. I probably didn't ever beat a SNES game, and I was a kid, and they were difficult games.
Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario I finished. They had save systems though, so they were quite forgiving, I guess, compared to some of them like Contra 3, which over here in the UK, for any of our American viewers, was called something like Super Alien Rebel Force 3.
Yeah.
And I never knew that this game that I played, because no one had ever heard of it. Yeah. And then I went online, and turns out it was what everyone calls Contra. That was solid, especially as a kid. But I remember doing Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country, nailing them, because it was like dead easy compared to Super Star Wars. I heard Mike talking about this before once. Look on YouTube, and it's like, oh my god,
it's rock hard, man. It's a tough game. Yeah. And again, with the questions about your parents, how were they with gaming? It was my dad that bought the SNES, and that is probably the only reason that I got into games in the first place, because he bought a SNES, and I just played. I loved it, man. Like just so many different games, and it was like my first experience of gaming. I didn't even really know what it was, because I was really young. I was probably about 4 or 5, maybe. Maybe I'm misremembering, but. Probably around that age, and then I got an N64 for Christmas when I was about 7 or 8, and then so my parents were like, "Well, here's a console," but I do remember having to negotiate heavily to get San Andreas. I remember having to be like, "No, trust me. I know you can batter the fuck out of prostitutes with baseball bats.
Kid.
I am not going to do that."
Is that your pitch? Yeah.
It was like, I know you've been seeing it on the news, and I was pitching it as like this life sim.
Yeah.
And that's that's pretty.
That's only if you're a sicko.
Yeah, you can just drive a taxi if you want, man. That's what I'm going to do. Okay.
I bet you were there, like stopping at red lights, letting people cross the road.
Yeah.
No violence.
So I had to give him the strong, "Don't worry, I'm not mental" pitch for San Andreas. I can't remember how it probably would have been when that came out. I probably would have been about 14, maybe. Yeah. Something like that. But anyway. Parents, they have a big impact on your upbringing, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I've played games my whole life, like you, since I was 4 or 5, and I don't think my mum was ever like really like strict or anything.
Yeah.
Like I did have like when I was really young, like you could play it for like half an hour or whatever, or like you should probably go to bed now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've tried to get her to play games like a few years ago, and like if you've never used analog sticks before on a controller,
yeah.
Here you go, mum. Have a go at Call of Duty or something, and she just goes like this.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? No, go down. And she sort of points at the floor, and it's
one stick at a time. In it, it's like that. It's hand controls.
Yeah. So it's like the question was like, how are your parents with gaming? Like, terrible. Mum, if you're watching, you're absolutely terrible.
Not 2 kill streak. Isn't it?
My dad's still a demon though. He bought that SNES like 20 odd years ago. Yeah. He still plays games. He still takes recommendations off me and stuff. I've just talked him into downloading Bloodborne for free off the PlayStation Plus. He didn't like the look of it, but I hope you get, because if you get past the first boss, I feel like you'll get somewhere. That's like a mental obstacle.
A second boss, and then you'll learn a lesson.
But you do the first one, and you get. That's really important, because you feel like I've done it now. Yeah. I've overcome what I thought was a huge obstacle, and it's done. And it's like a big
going fucking tears.
Vicar Amelia.
Was that your one, Vicar Amelia?
Took me way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was Bloodstarved Beast. That was the only one that really ruined me. But Vicar Amelia, I think I did first time, and I did.
Lady Maria is the one I died to the most.
Yeah.
Weirdly, like a DLC boss actually. So.
I flipping battered Lady Maria. I don't think she actually hit me.
Really?
Yeah, and that's just she's a DLC boss.
That's insane. Because fucking on me.
But it's all about playstyle. It's all about
first time I
playstyle.
played the Amygdala, I couldn't get to. This time, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's different. If you've changed how you play over the 10, 15, 20 hours between the two times that you've met the Amygdala, you might batter in the second time. It might just be a slight irritation on your route to the end of the game. But anyway,
Bloodborne is a great
Our parents
game.
were very that is the point of all of these podcasts. Thanks, October Comstock, for that question. Kel asks, had a bit of an interesting debate on Discord after the Sea of Thieves stream the other night, and the point came up about it being a waste of time. It made me wonder, what do you need to get out of a game for it not to feel like a waste of time? It's a big question, but I think there's a lot of, for me personally, there's a lot of straightforward answers, right? There's a sense of immersion, detail, environmental detail, story detail, and the feeling that a lot of effort has gone into creating a world. A sense of being part of that universe. The empty vessel approach doesn't really work that well for me. So if it's like a first-person character you never see that never speaks, and you don't get any dialogue options or anything like that, doesn't kind of like No Man's Sky or something, I guess. Yeah, man. That just detaches me a little bit. I do like to have a well-defined kind of character that I can at least adopt and define my own way. Like in a role-playing game, you can just at least choose what they're going to say. Yeah. Some of them never say anything at all, and you've got no say about it. Emergent gameplay is really good. Is really important for me as well. Just the idea that I can just sit down and play, and something different will happen every single time, and progression, because I need to feel like what I'm doing is getting me somewhere. If it's a multiplayer game, if Vermintide had no progression system, would I keep playing it? I don't know. It's really fun. It is really good, but it probably wouldn't keep me as long as the progression does, because just that little carrot on the stick of, even though I hate loot boxes, getting some gear, getting some items at the end of it is quite important for a multiplayer or a co-op type game like Destiny as well. Definitely Monster Hunter, that kind of thing. What about you guys?
I don't know. I think it's just emotional resonance, isn't it? A waste of time.
You've got to like it. You've got to enjoy it.
Isn't watching telly a waste of time? Isn't having, anything you do is a waste of time if you're not making money doing it. So some people would say, it depends what you get out of life. Depends what is.
Well, you're making me question everything.
No, I think it's more about you as a person. Because honestly, No Man's Sky, I put hours and hours and hours into that, closer to 100 hours than 50, right? And it's what? Well, I was really? Like 80 odd hours, and
I have got a new level of respect for you now. After that one,
that's a lot of time.
Closer to 100 hours than 50 into the base version.
Well, no. This is including like the one, because afterwards I played it for like 12 hours in one sitting. Didn't I remember when the third one came?
Still though, that's awesome.
Do you know what? Every time we talk about No Man's Sky in this podcast, I always feel like I'm having to prove it. Remember, like the first time we ever mentioned it, I had to say on the very first 2 hours of playing the game, I found another planet discovered by someone. Yeah, remember? Yeah. It's like this every time I say something.
Sean Murray was astounded.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like I said, I prove myself. I look anyway. I like to. Is that game monumental waste of time? Some people think so. I don't know. I'm playing it. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Not I mean, Shadow of War was, I felt, a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Burnout Paradise. It doesn't. As long as you're having fun doing it, nothing's wasting your time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm totally with you, Shadow of War.
So I don't know. I don't require anything other than joy playing the game. Yeah. Maybe if it's a story I feel I'll take with me, but I'll remember how I felt playing No Man's Sky. So it's no less a waste of time than.
Do you ever think that games waste your time, Dan? Is it?
No, I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. People play games and expect to get different things out of it. Some people like to get every little achievement. Some people just want to kind of play through the story. Some people just want a game that they can jump into for like 20-30 minutes, just detached from reality, and then just come back out of it. So as long as you're having fun,
exactly.
Whether it is or isn't fun is down to the person, the player, to decide.
I mean, they're called video games, man. That's two good words. Two good words that
I think people forget about the game bit sometimes. It's like Sea of Thieves. Like, we did a stream on it. And it's not so much, I don't say we were going in there, of course we were going in expecting to be negative, but we were, apart from Gaz, who had played the game a little bit before, we were going in blind. And for me, it was a bit of a shock how little content there was.
It's shallow, and if it doesn't feel or it feels shallow. And if it doesn't feel worthwhile, that is the problem.
To me, what's funny is I felt that No Man's Sky was getting absolutely levered for its amount of content or lack thereof, and Sea of Thieves has been received almost suspiciously well for what it is. And to me, I can't get my head around that. So,
I think it's the simple factor of having co-op from the beginning. It's as simple as that, I think.
But
otherwise, it would be a complete write-off.
And of course, Sean Murray said all this stuff was going to be.
There was a lot of hype around it.
Yeah.
This guy wasn't there, and that expectation from people.
But for me, hearing people saying all this bullshit, it was like you could apply that. You could copy and paste what people are saying about Sea of Thieves. If I got a sentence now, and then we played Sea or Sky game, and I said, was this about No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves? And if they were saying stuff like, it's secretly a pen and paper RPG, you wouldn't know. It's interchangeable, all the good things I'm hearing.
Oh, no, I was saying for a long time in the build-up to Sea of Thieves, like early into last year, just following the build-up of Sea of Thieves.
The Oracle.
I've been calling myself the Oracle because of how right I've been about it. But I just the sense of them, the developers not being able to tell you what the game is. When they were asked direct questions, what do you do? Where do you go? What is okay, you're a pirate. Where do you go from there? And they weren't able to tell you what the structure or the thread through the game was, because there isn't one. It's just an open sandbox you jump into and mess around in. Yeah. And then, that is very similar to what they were saying about No Man's Sky. And then that's, that for me is not an appealing thing. Although I'm a big fan of No Man's Sky now. I've been completely converted. But yeah, it's just that. What do you want? It's what you expect and what you want. And if you just want a good time, then it's definitely not wasting your time. If you expect it to be something and it's not that, then it's going to feel like a waste of time. It's as simple as that. But it is, it's a difficult question to answer, I guess. But thank you. Anyway, Kel, Tom Cartmel says, thank you anyway. Thank you, Kel. Tom Cartmel asks, do you guys think The Last of Us Part 2 will exceed expectations with all this praise and hype surrounding it? Will it live up to its predecessor?
There's some audible noises coming from this side of the room. What do you think?
I think the first game was incredible.
Okay.
This is the bar.
Yeah, they've set the bar now, so there's going to be a lot of pressure to deliver on that. I mean, it's Naughty Dog, isn't it?
Yep.
Look at their track record. Got a lot of faith in them as a studio.
Yeah.
They put out quality games. They
high
take
quality stuff.
Very high. In fact, probably I would say the best, and especially in terms of facial capture, performance,
they push
music,
it every time.
Consistency as well.
Consistency, yeah.
When they did Uncharted 2 and Last of Us, like nearly back to back, they were both like they're both now considered a lot of people's favorite games ever. So you're right about them being some of the best, going.
I remember watching Uncharted 4, like the sort of the cutscenes where they're talking and everything, and I was just like, holy shit, this is like amazing. The little kind of details in the face and stuff. So I've got a lot of faith that they're going to deliver on The Last of Us 2.
Yeah. Where are you with it, Jake?
I think they know where the bar is, and they know it's like CD Projekt doing Cyberpunk, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They know what people are expecting, and I think they're going to try their hardest to not really fan service. I think they're going to try and do something a little bit different. That's what I really think. I don't think we're going to see fan servicey bits. I think they're going to do it different enough that people don't really compare them, or do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't go into The Last of Us 1's lane too much. Like, it's not a story about them trying to get a cure again. I think it's going to have a lot of differentiating factors, so people can't really compare them. That's the only way you can beat a comparison that big. Same with The Witcher and Cyberpunk, right? They're going to make Cyberpunk so different that people will be saying you can't compare it to The Witcher. I think, even though this is a direct sequel, I think they're going to try and do a lot of different things to make people say, well, they're two different games. That's the only way, because there's no way... unless you're Blade Runner 2049, there's no way you can beat a cult classic. And that's like a total anomaly. That's like the only time I've ever seen it happen, and the only time hype has managed to be exceeded. So I think that's the smart play anyway. And Naughty Dog are smart people, so I think that they're going to do that. Yeah.
I don't know what... I've kind of stayed out of the Last of Us Part 2 hype train, I guess. I've not got anywhere near it. I'm a big fan of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just haven't really bought into it. But that as happens with me personally, a lot of the time it changes near launch when people start talking about it, and there's a lot of detailed previews, early reviews and stuff. That's what happened with Horizon Zero Dawn last year. I did not care about that game at all until the week before launch when all the reviews came out, and I was like, holy shit, I got to get this day one, and I was fully on board. So maybe something like that will happen, but so far, I can't be a good judge because I don't know what people's expectations are. I don't know all I know about expectation is whenever I've really expected something to be amazing, it's only been exactly like Blade Runner 2049. There's only maybe 3 or 4 examples I can think of ever that have met or exceeded my very high expectations. So I think just if you're really looking forward to it, just chill out maybe a little bit, and then no matter what happens, no matter what happens, you might be,
It's
know,
like
you'll be
Bill
happy.
Shakespeare's always saying, innit? Expectations to road to all heartbreak. It's one for you, a literature one for you. Now you can take that home. But yeah.
Vinny Bartels asks, "What's the hardest puzzle you've ever come across in a game?" Now this, I don't know. The hardest puzzle you've ever come across in a game, I don't know, because you could be banging your head against a puzzle for ages, but you probably won't remember that, because it's just once you solve it, you've solved it. It's a puzzle that you've done. I don't know. I really don't know. What's the hardest puzzle you've ever come across in a game?
I mean, could you look at it as in puzzle as in not knowing where to go? Like if you go back to Dark Souls again, it's like, what do I do next?
Well, I say life is a puzzle.
Philosophical.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
about Shakespeare. It does things.
Big Bill.
Big Bill
shakes. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because puzzles for me are never really that memorable.
There's some in Divinity Original Sin, the first one, that are like proper head scratchers, like just to get loot and stuff like that. You have to go out of your way and stuff. And they were doing that thing that I saw Kingdom Come Deliverance was getting a lot of praise for this year, but they were doing it like 2 years ago, where they did the quest log just gives you hints, but it does no. So stuff like that, kind of figuring out what stuff means. So, like in Divinity Original Sin, at the very beginning, you're solving a mystery of Councillor Jake, I think his name is, and he solving his mystery. That solving the murder mystery thing can take a while. I think that's quite a bit of a tough one for new players. There's a lot in Divinity. There's a lot of riddles and puzzles and stuff like that. They're definitely doable, but they are quite puzzling because they don't really give you much to work with. They're the only ones I can think of really off the top of my head. Not necessarily saying that they're the hardest.
It's a tough question to answer, isn't it? Like if you, I don't know. It's a
hard one, isn't it? You'd have to think about it.
It's.
I can't really even think of many games that are memorable for the puzzles generally that are in them. Do you know what I mean?
I tend to not really enjoy
Portal,
them.
I guess.
One that comes to mind for me is they're not particularly challenging, but Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just love those kind of puzzles where you kind of find a gem or like a thing or a key or something, and then you've got to go and figure out. And especially when you've got the original, there's like a lot, and the second one, you've got a lot of backtracking as well.
Yeah.
So you're constantly going backwards and forwards, trying to figure, and then you get like the kind of puzzle where you got to turn something or whatever, and they're not too challenging. Yeah. But
quite
they always stick out to me.
Yeah. No, me too. And I think that's really cool, clever game design. Saving set pieces and stuff. So you go back to the mansion, you go back to this. It was quite clever at the time, wasn't it? Because it makes the game feel a lot longer than it is.
Yeah.
Because you have to backtrack. I mean, Resident Evil 7's got a bit of that as well. There's like animal keys.
It's got a good amount, I'd say. I think it's got a good tribute to the kind of original.
Yeah. Well, it still feels quite original. So,
Yeah.
That's a good one. That Silent Hill and Resident Evil, that sort of survival horror puzzles. Yeah.
I guess, Vinny, the hardest puzzle was answering your question. Timberwolf asks, when will the Zen Garden return? Right now. Here comes the 30-second Zen Garden. No raids this week. I thought, we got a guest.
Yeah.
We don't want to be ranting. Well, you got a guest.
Zen Garden.
It's when we just talk about 30 seconds of positive, nice things.
Yeah, so we've got this feature that was 30-second throwdown.
It's similar. It doesn't so much sing, but there is a melody to the words he's saying.
Like a chant.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll understand. So what we need to do.
What should be happening right now is Emmi, who's editing this very podcast.
Shouts out Emmi.
Will have been building up some nice music in the background.
Some like choral swell.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna sound like a monastery.
Get people prepared.
And
now
I don't know what
we
monasteries
simply
sound
sit and receive the wisdom. So Mike, for 30 seconds, tell me what we've got to look forward to.
30 seconds Zen Garden. Ni no Kuni 2 is out, and it's a really nice game. Randy Pitchford thought that a fake, blatantly comedic account for Sony CEO Kaz Hirai was actually real. He even tweeted at it. Gabe Newell says that Valve is making games again. Warhammer Vermintide 2, it's a freaking great game. It costs about 20 quid and it's got no microtransactions. That new Tomb Raider movie is the highest rated video game movie adaptation of all time. It's got a firm 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow. That is a lot to take in.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah,
Hope we're all feeling
everyone's
tranquil
and
positive.
It's nice to loosen up a little bit.
That Randy Pinchford one is particularly good. I think you thought the Sony CEO Kaz Hirai account was real and was tweeting at him, please listen to me, dude. You got to think this through. Don't. It's just a joke account. It's completely fake. So
this is a feature that everyone knows. Fact of the week.
Fact of the week. So that was the Zen Garden
section of the podcast. It's in fact the most important, but it's the glue that keeps this channel together.
Thank you. Thanks for the respect and the admiration. So that might be a little bit jarring because I've just put the Zen Garden first and then the fact of the week, but I needed to do that so I could go from the question, which was when is the Zen Garden, to so just explaining the process there. So let's do fact of the week. Jingle, please. The 2001 video game Commandos 2 Men of Courage featured the World War II submarine bunkers at La Palisse in La Rochelle, which in real life had more than 3 hangars. The game, however, only shows 1.
Okay.
So that was fact of the week. Let's move on to some more questions. Simply Phil asks, Doctor Who arrives at your front door and informs you that he's willing to take you back to any time in your past, and you're allowed to bring 1 item back with you from that time. What would it be? You can go back and get something. Maybe a console, I'm imagining, that you've got rid of, and you regret a game.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man.
It's a difficult one.
I'd say the Xbox 360 that I had with all the games installed in it. I only had about 4 because it was a small thing. I had Viva Pinata on it.
Oh my god! All right, can I come with you? And I'll get my 360, and I'll get Viva Pinata and Battlefield Middle 2, Gears of War.
It's like Bill and Ted. This.
Yeah, but just
Mike and Jake go back in time to get an Xbox 360 with Viva Pinata, and it's like an Aston Kutcher movie. Then. What are you coming for, Dan?
I think I'd probably want to go back and grab myself and then bring myself back to the future just to screw things up.
Mind melter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time paradox.
But then if you're not in the past, how would you have grown up to be the you that you are that went back to go
Don't
and get
ask too many questions.
Game over.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil.
Or is it?
Thanks for the question there, Phil. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Bristol Danny.
Shout out to Bristol squad inside. Kind of. Close enough, isn't it?
People
Bristol,
called Dan from Bristol, I guess. You are trapped in a 28 Days Later style zombie infested world. It's not you, is it?
Bristol Danny. Yeah. Imagine he did this the whole time.
Yeah. You are trapped in a 28 Days Later style zombie infested world. You are allowed 1 ranged weapon with limited ammunition and 1 melee weapon, both from games. What do you choose and why? So zombie apocalypse, you're allowed 1 ranged weapon with limited ammo, 1 melee weapon. Melee weapon, lightsaber, easy.
Oh, nice.
That's very, very good. Efficient, may I say.
Thank you. Weapon.
Bolt action rifle. Bolt action rifle, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've got no idea how to shoot one. Never shot one.
Just sounds like it's going to be me.
I'll pick it up.
It kind of it looks the part as well.
Yeah,
right? You sling it over your shoulder in a zombie apocalypse, it just looks
Just go up high somewhere, where they can't get you.
And if they do, you've got a lightsaber, so just chop them up.
Can you imagine? I know you've got limited ammo, so I can't say it, but can we just take a minute to imagine if we had the portal gun? You can make a portal, like a pitfall for zombies, and then put it somewhere else, and you can just see all
Where do you drop them?
They just keep falling through the floor.
Yeah, you could just leave them. Yeah, you could just do that. One at the bottom, one at the top, and they'll just keep falling. And then eventually take the bottom one away, and the momentum will just crush them. They'll be falling. Take the bottom one away. Whoosh.
I do like that one. I would do this maybe the same thing, but kind of. So I'd put one portal down, and then I'd go to like a volcano in Hawaii somewhere. And put the other portal there. Yeah. So then they fall into the portal and then fly out into the mouth of the volcano, vaporized.
It'd be worth it. Yeah, that'd definitely be worth it. And a melee weapon, well, the lightsaber, I don't know if I can top that really. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff, but I think
you want something that cuts through and disables immediately. So you want to,
Yeah.
you don't want it to get stuck in there, and a lightsaber won't, because it'll just go.
I couldn't be trusted with a lightsaber. If I had a lightsaber, I'd like accidentally whoops, just take off my arm or something.
That's another thing. It's quite deadly, and it's also a source of light as well, which means that it'd always be alerted to your presence, though. So you wouldn't be able to sneak around in the dark of it.
Yeah, but I mean, good. Here, I mean, I've got a lightsaber.
You'd get
this
your
is
arm
where
would
I
get
am,
tired
mate.
though after like 5 days or something. You'd have to have a little break. I don't know. I just go for a standard little. A sharp sword, I think. You know, the Masamune blade from Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth's oversized samurai sword.
Okay, so something which cuts very sharply and finely, but still is not actually a beam of energy. It's just a sharp metal.
So like a shit lightsaber.
Okay.
AKA a sword.
No, that's good. Hope that answers your question, Danny. We kind of worked together on that one. Fletcher Stanton asks, you have a $200 million budget to make a pretty good video game based on a movie, TV show, book, etc. What game do you make? What do you get to? Who do you get to develop it? Who do you get to publish it, and why? So, a video game adaptation on a movie, TV, or book.
I'd make the highly sought after Total War Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, Total War Lord of the Rings, in it. That's always going to be my answer to any question that allows me to say that as an answer.
Yeah, you did this last time I mentioned it, and I end up just going, "You're right," and that is better. But of course,
it's like all of our conversations.
Yeah, no, that is better. But then you know who's developing it, and you know who's publishing it as well. Creative Assembly, get them on the case.
Yeah,
bit of a cop-out answer, but I think a Total War based on either Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. But Lord of the Rings would be better. Mike's right.
Thanks, Dan.
I don't even know where to answer that. Probably, I'd sit on the Game of Thrones fence, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Sit on the Game of Thrones fence. And do you know what? There's so many options for Game of Thrones games. You could have it open world sort of style stuff.
Yeah,
but just done well would be good, because you know when they take a lot of like TV programs and movies and stuff, they just don't do a good job.
Yeah.
So if it was done well, like if Naughty Dog did a Game of Thrones game, you know it's gonna be like really good.
Yeah, we're not counting the Telltale Game of Thrones game either, because they kind of already did that. I'm sure there's other Game of Thrones games as well. But
oh my god, yeah, there's Game of Thrones Genesis, which is a crap strategy game. There was a RPG really? Like Dragon Age, which was just called Game of Thrones. Apparently that was crap, but I've actually recently heard a few people saying but there was some good stuff in there, like later on and stuff. Okay. But again, it's not. Yeah, I can't think of a standout Game of Thrones game, because even the Telltale one is a bit like people say that your choices don't matter. You're just a passenger on this story. Yeah. And
it kind of shoehorns in the characters from the show. It doesn't really need it. I don't.
Here's Tyrion. You remember Tyrion?
Exactly. Like you're a family, the Foresters, who exist in the books, right? And you have one character who's conveniently in King's Landing, and guess who she bumps into? Cersei and Tyrion. You got one who's conveniently at the Wall. Guess who he bumps into? It's Jon Snow. Yeah. One that's in Marine. How convenient. I wonder who he's going to bump into. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of that. So, but a Naughty Dog Game of Thrones game. I'm on board for that. I'll accept. I'll invest.
I'll tell you what would be a good idea. A game based on Star Wars movies.
Yeah. If only they could do that right.
Like a shooter or something, like a really good shooter, no loot boxes or anything. Maybe like an open world RPG. Yeah. So next up, Stephen, that bubble from Sea of Thieves Who's asks, what is a game you really wanted to get into but was unable due to some completely trivial thing? For example, I do want to play Neo, but I cannot stand the overabundance of particle effects. It's as if every weapon, armor set and enemy is coated in glitter. So he doesn't like the fabulous weapons and armor.
There's a lot of weird choices with that game, Like, I finished Neo now, and it carries on all the way through, right? It's just like weird Photoshop filter looking thing that goes on every time you go and pray at a shrine as well. What's that about? It's very unusual. I don't know how they explain that one away, and I don't know what the game would have looked like without it. But surely it couldn't have looked worse than with it. So I'm with you there. But I just
that didn't stop you playing the game, though, did it? You're actually a big fan of it, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Because fuck that. One little problem doesn't really get away from me. But if some people really do get caught up on little details, right? Yeah. But no, I'm not one of those people who gets affected by that sort of stuff at all.
Same.
It takes game-breaking bugs to stop me playing the game.
Or it just being shit.
That always helps, yeah.
What about you, Dan?
I didn't play Neo. I was going to get it, and I didn't play it. And this is probably a really bad reason.
Okay.
But I just wanted to go into that game. It's with that whole Souls-like expectation. I wanted to be able to make my own character. And I didn't like the fact that I'd been given
William.
this protagonist. Is that his name? William.
Forgettable. He's forgettable.
Yeah. And that was the thing that put me off.
It's weird because despite him being a stock character, and you're right, that's quite trivial. There's loads of customization in that game, loads, and you can constantly reset if you're not happy. But the fact that you are stuck with him does seem a bit of an oversight, really.
I felt a little bit like that with Geralt as well. Witcher 3, amazing game, but I just wish that I could just switch it up a little bit. You know, like in the Shadow of Mordor, you could just change your skin and you could play as like a different character.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it's classic RPG stuff, and if you want to commit to a role, it always helps if you're naming it or whatever.
Exactly.
And some people can't overlook that.
Feels like it's uniquely yours in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I am probably missing out.
Yeah.
But it's just those little things.
No, it can be annoying. I think the only thing I can think of, but it didn't stop me playing it, and it also actually is one of my favorite games ever. The Knights of the Old Republic games. It's always really annoyed me that you only get like 5 or 6. Just following along what you were saying, you get 5 or 6 stock like faces to choose from, and they're all bad. Like they're really like I just there's NPCs in the world that look better designed. And that you're like, well, this is the face that I'm going to be looking at the most.
Yeah.
Why is that character model got like a shit mullet? Like why have you done that? And it's just a weird, I don't know, stylistic choice that they've done.
Both coming from a very similar place then.
Yeah, and I think that's only an irritation because again, it's who you're with for the whole game, isn't it? Like you're going to have to commit to that.
Make your bed and you lie in it, and it's a bed of shit mullets.
It's shit mullets, mustaches, and
exactly.
bottom goatees. So the goatee, but none of this. Just the chin. I can't remember what that like beard style is called.
Mistake.
But it's like an early because it's a game from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's full of that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going on.
But yeah, similar answers.
Yeah.
And Neo got mentioned by Dan and Stephen, that bubble from Sea of Thieves use. Good reference, that cracking reference.
Yeah, it's a good one. Anyone watch the stream.
Good reference.
Stay at Home Gaming asks, if you could combine 2 games, what would they be? And would they be the same genre? Could you combine 2 games? So he's asking if it could be the same genre, so you could combine anything, really, if he's having to ask.
Combine Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 and just make the massivest Souls game ever.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, Dark Souls with 3 S's.
Yeah.
Easy. Boom, done. That's not to spec because he said 2 games, so fuck. Okay. Well, sometimes people say, what about if you get Total War Warhammer and Total War Warhammer 2 and just mash them together? I love that they do that. More games should do that. The fact that you could actually do that and add on your old game into your new games. Bloody wonderful.
It is cool.
2 games. Sure, we had this question. Didn't we have this question last week? Kind of. I remember saying Ape Escape and Metal Gear Solid 3.
That was like it was like a crossover. What I'm seeing here is adding them together. That's what I'm reading from it.
Yeah, like San Andreas and Vice City.
Yeah. Red Dead Redemption and another cowboy game.
Red Dead Redemption 2. And Gun.
You're like trying to think through every game you've ever played, aren't you?
Gun. Innit? Remember Gun?
Yeah. It's an underrated Western.
Very underrated game. Gun,
if you're waiting for Red Dead Redemption 2 and haven't played it, Gun. I think it's on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam.
I've got an answer.
Go. Please say
Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9.
Very nice.
So you could go between the 2 worlds. The characters from both games are in it. Cause
nice.
a whole new story to accommodate for all the characters and the gigantic world they're in.
Yeah.
And same gameplay system really, isn't it? Preferably the graphics of 9, but that is my 2 answers.
That's good.
Same genre.
That's very good. I don't know. It's a tough question. Yeah. And it's at the end of the podcast as well. So
I got lucky with that one.
Used a lot of my brain juice. Dan, you got any thoughts? You got any?
No, not
combinations.
Really. No.
My brain's still like, I could go through all the games.
Thanks for the question, dude. Nick Phillips, incredibly memorable weapon, or that fits and one that fits and one that really doesn't. I don't know what
one that fits. I think he means like a weapon that fits in the game, because you do get some crazy ones. Like in Final Fantasy 7, for example, you could get some stupid weapons, couldn't you?
Like the handgun in Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that in there? Because
it's the president of the United States that got warped over to the magical world. I mean, it's all quite straightforward.
Sorry, I feel like an idiot for asking.
Yeah, exactly. You know when he saves the cat boy?
Yes, yeah.
He's half a Grimmelkin, King Evan, Tillage and Petty Whisker. It's all quite simple stuff, really. How embarrassing for you.
Yeah, and what president of the United States doesn't carry a sidearm at all times?
They probably do.
Yeah. Basic rule of democracy, I think. All leaders must have weapons on them.
Yeah.
How else are you going to lead the country?
Exactly. So maybe that's a good idea.
You've got to point the gun at people if you wanted to do stuff.
A silly weapon. I always remember in Final Fantasy VII there was, you played as Barrett who had the gun hands. Yeah, it was a gun hand. If you had the gun as a hand and you wanted to customize your gun hand, you'd customize it by getting different guns.
Get different guns for your gun hand.
For your gun hand, yeah. Okay. You've got a Gatling gun. You might change it to a shotgun. You might change it to a pistol. There's one weapon where he changes it to a cannonball. Why? Not a cannon, mind. A cannonball, which is essentially just a big hammer. And he has to go up and then just punch them. Yeah, but shit weapon, get it out of the game.
No matter what angle you come down on, it's gonna be good, isn't it? Because imagine you had a hammer, but then you turn it on the side and you hit someone with a flat of a hammer. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Yeah. But it's not going to be as effective as the...
It's also not as effective as a gun, though. And here's the big problem. Barrett is ultimately, he's a ranged character, so when you're playing a game, I remember the first time I equipped this weapon, didn't even realise it was a cannonball because he's got a gun hand, so it should be a gun, okay? And I remember fighting the boss, and I was on one elevator, and the boss was on the other elevator, so the melee attacks don't work because I couldn't just jump from elevator to elevator. Yeah. And all of a sudden, old gun hand was cannonball hand, couldn't do fuck all, essentially useless. So shit weapon, get it out of the game.
Okay, I never ever thought that's where that question would get us, but I'm happy that's where it went. I think my favorite. This is I'm just gonna throw it out there because we haven't mentioned it before, and we could go for something really obvious like lightsaber again. But I'm gonna say the piston metal things from the game The Surge, which is like Dark Souls but sci-fi, but like robotic.
Okay.
And it's like light. It's like human-sized mech stuff. So you're playing an engineer type human guy, who you get into like a rig, and it's like an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
And you can strap stuff onto it. But then really early on, I did enjoy this game quite a bit actually. But one of the kind of attacks is like a leaping piston mechanical punch thing.
It's like
and
the
it just
power
really
fist
fits.
From Fallout, isn't it? You know the power fist.
Yeah. But it's your whole body.
It's a hydraulic. Hydraulically enhanced punch.
Exactly.
Leap,
but it's got like big kind of metal bats, and it's the whole art design of the game is like this kind of clunky, pistony kind of mechanical rubbish robots. But it's really cool. It's like gnarly kind of sci-fi. You're in a junkyard in the starting area, But it's cool. I like that because it fits so well. So that's one that fits. I can't really think of one that doesn't fit so much, except for all of that. What about you, Dan? What's your favourite?
Is that memorable weapons?
Yeah, generally. What's your most favourite?
Well, it can be memorable for a bad reason.
Yeah,
that's what happened with me. I don't know. I just got this weird PTSD about Cannonball Hand. But I mean, it's memorable.
Let's not go into it again. Then.
But so we're over it now. I feel better for saying it. But that was memorable to me, but for the wrong reason. So I guess it could be that.
Anything memorable?
I think for the right reasons, just Moonlight Greatsword. It just sticks in my head. Ooh. It pops up a couple times. Ooh. Dark Souls, a proper Dark Souls fanboy over here. Dark Souls, Bloodborne.
Moonlight
it's just freaking bright turquoise.
Remember that bit when Ludwig
it's bright, okay.
Yeah, and Ludwig holds it up. It has its own cutscene in Bloodborne, and he's like, "My guy didn't lie. You here all along."
Yeah.
Wow.
When he becomes an absolute asshole.
That guy.
Yeah. Can't believe Dan mentioned Bloodborne stuff. It's just funny because it's like,
that guy on New Game Plus took me and my brother about over 100 goes. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Ludwig.
Yeah, Ludwig, New Game Plus.
On New Game, I'm totally with you there because I by accident, I don't know by accident, I had completed the game and then I was going through a New Game Plus and I hit the DLC at New Game Plus. DLC is like insane.
Next level.
It's really hard on New Game Plus.
For sure. Yeah. Because a lot of people would have just finished the game and then the DLC came after the fact, right? So they would have had to play New Game Plus again, right? But I played it and I was quite high level. I beat Murgo's Wet Nurse. I was about to do German, and then I did the DLC. So I was basically end game, because I didn't reset. I was technically over level. It recommends like level 60 for it, but I was level 90,
Yeah.
and it was still challenging.
It is,
so
it's ridiculous.
Can't imagine it on New Game Plus. Ludwig's a little bitch, but it's a good fight. It's a good fight.
It is great. No, it's great.
That
Yeah,
second phase of the Moonlight Great, so that is very iconic, very memorable.
I think the arena as well is great, and the fact that there's still, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's still stuff there afterwards. There's a conversation and things that goes on afterwards that leads to different places and that, which is cool.
That's how you get the Moonlight
Really
Great Sword, isn't it? I think after the fact, don't you have to have a conversation with a certain decapitated head?
Oh yeah.
You have to talk to Ludwig's decapitated head, and that's how you get the Moonlight Great Sword. I think
it's something like that. Yeah. When we finally did it, we had one insight left to actually summon the other person.
Oh my god!
This is about 11 o'clock at night. Probably should go to bed. Got work the next day, and we recorded it as well. So I've actually got footage of the time we did it at the end.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Clapping and spinning round.
Yeah, it's such a great feeling, though, isn't it?
It's that feeling. That's why I play those games.
There you go.
When you finally beat the button.
Well, we didn't set this up, but there we go. Bloodborne's the best game ever. Matthew John Jenkins asks, recently I was listening to some of the old Medal of Honor soundtracks by Michael Giacchino, and I was thinking that I'd love to see a new game from that time period. Some games like Battlefield and Call of Duty are going back to old war settings. Would you like to see Medal of Honor return to that time period too? Medal of Honor! It's just totally fallen off, isn't it? It's not,
I was going to say, I'd like to see Medal of Honor, full stop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where's it gone?
Yeah,
Wasn't there a soft reboot just called Medal of Honor? I think that was the last one.
Yeah, and it was modern and it was shite. It was like trying to be Call of Duty like every single game was. After COD Modern Warfare, everything was trying to be Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and that included, and it was an absolute disappointment. So, Medal of Honor was was a big pioneer for shooters, and that was on the PS1 and stuff, wasn't it? It was just.
I remember that. Yeah,
big series.
It didn't distinguish itself enough, like you say. It just tried to kind of do what was popular.
Yeah, the kind of reboot one from a few years ago. Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. So would you like to see? I mean.
What would they do differently? That's the question I'd be asking.
Exactly.
What are you going to do to get me interested in playing it?
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, Battlefield is the daddy at the moment, and I just love the scale and the destruction and everything. I want to see the Battlefield Bad Company 2. Just to throw it back earlier, is genuinely like a pinnacle for me of what a multiplayer shooter can be. It's like some guy being on the other side of the wall. You just put a grenade in the wall, and then you take him out, and then you take him out, so then you can take out the objective. And the battle lines kind of move up with you as you do things like that. And it just feels like cohesive, and it was just masterfully designed. So I think Medal of Honor is kind of up against it. If it were to just do a reboot, banking on the fact that it's called Medal of Honor.
Yeah. It's got the rep, and it's got the history, but then, like you're saying, if it does come back,
it's got to set itself apart.
What will it be different? Yeah, because you've got like the Twitch shooting in COD World War II stuff, and then you've got the more team-based stuff of Battlefield 1, so where is it going to fall? What's it going to try and do? It's going to be, it'll be up against it, but it does have the rep and it does have the prestige, I'd say. So there is a chance, and I'd like to see it try, but just make a good job of it, I guess.
Yeah, I think World War II, it's just like already it's the new hotness in it. You can see that every flipping first-person shooter is going to be World War II or World War I now for a little while, till we get bored of that.
Just like it's like complete, I think it goes in cycles. It's just how it was like 15 years ago.
I'd like to see it go back another 100 years.
You're talking more like Vermintide.
Just sort of 17, 1800s, and try doing a game from that kind of period.
Yeah, so it would
musket.
Be. It would be, yeah. It would be like Vermintide, where you've got melee focus. You're waving your saber around, which Vermintide has shown that it works. But
you might have 5 or 6 bullets for your musket.
Yeah, but it's really it's powerful. It's just like knock them on the arse. So you got crossbows or whatever they'd still use.
Yeah, just like something completely fresh, not World War 1, 2, or any kind of bloody space adventure or whatever.
Yeah, that would work, I reckon. Or at least I'd like to try and give it a go.
I think Vermintide. I know Vermintide. You're battering a lot of low-level enemies, but it's proven as a proof of concept that you can do a mainly melee thing with ranged options.
Because it seems to be games like to do World War II, World War One, medieval, but never really in between. Not that often anyway. Yeah. So it could be quite interesting to see like that in between time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like colonists, America sort of stuff.
Western.
Western.
If you had like Winchester rifles and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be a great setting. I don't know how to
Victorian. That kind of architecture and
there's a lot that they can. It doesn't seem to be explored by first-person shooters, and I guess it's because of the shooting would be very limited. But
what was they tried to do like a fantasy spin on it with that shite PlayStation 4 game. that was like 4 hours long, and they had great moustaches.
The Order,
The Order.
1886.
So that's like that takes you back to Victorian London, but you just have got Gatling
They
guns.
put a bit of a twist on it.
It's like they advanced in weird ways, and So I mean, I don't know. I think
alternate history sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, they're up against it. That's for sure. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but what I'm imagining is pushing forward into like, I reckon like the Horizon Zero Dawn found future sort of stuff will be good. Not good, I mean will be popular and will be a thing that comes up more and more, because Anthem is coming. You just push far forward enough that, like, you know, an assault rifle is still an assault rifle from the 21st century, except everything else around it is not modern. It's like, you know, futuristic and really high concept sci-fi and stuff. I don't know. They're up against it though, because they've done it all. They've plumbed all of the shooting that humanity has ever done. They've done all of it now. So what other shooting can they do for it to feel fresh? It's a difficult one to answer. And talking of difficult questions to answer, we'll close out with this one. Oliver Townsend asks, Ratchet or Clank?
That's the video game references. If you're watching Mum, not drugs or anything weird. Sounds a bit like that, doesn't it? A bit got any Clank? Got any Clank? Not, I have been clean for years.
Do you know? No, it sounds fake. It sounds like a fake cop show.
Yeah.
You know, like they just come up with a fake drug.
Classic Clank dealers have struck again. Ratchet is my answer.
I think they are self-annihilating. You get rid of one, the other one's shite.
It's like yin and yang, innit?
Yeah, you need them
Me
both.
and you.
Yeah, I'm alright, man.
What a prick. Ratchet or Clank, Dan?
Ratchet or Clank, Dan?
The final say.
Heard of it, never played it.
All right.
Bloodborne is a great
Doesn't
game.
really matter what I say now, does it?
Bloodborne is
Bloodborne.
Moonlight Greatsword.
So thank you very much, Dan, for joining us.
Yeah,
You can check out Dansky on YouTube if you want to learn more about design, graphic design. You do all kinds of video tutorials and stuff. It's worth checking out, if only for the therapy. Like I said, if you're not even interested in it, it's worth a shout. It's some cool stuff. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you for
having me.
Yeah, link will be in the description, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be a link. There'll be something else.
What, have you got a website to plug?
Yeah, Forever Dansky.
www.foreverdansky.com. YouTube
go.
channel. Yeah, check it out.
Thanks for being with us, man. It's been a real pleasure for sure.
And you guys, well, we'll see.
What's this backseat hosting, man? Just let me fucking do my job.
We'll see you next time. All right. That's thanks very much from Mike Williams and from Dansky. My name's Jake Kulkowski. See you later.
You're a fucking prick, man.